The biggest lies everyone still thinks are facts. Let's jump right into this. Number 1. Goldfish memory. You've probably heard that goldfish can only remember things for 3 seconds, like some kind of aquatic Dory from Finding Nemo. Cute idea, right? Except it's completely wrong. In reality, goldfish have been proven to remember things for months. They can even recognize their owners, distinguish shapes, and learn basic tricks. That's right, your little orange buddy in the tank might actually be smarter than your Uncle Dave, who still forgets his Netflix password every week. The 3-second memory myth likely came from people underestimating fish because, well, they just swim in circles all day. But researchers have run experiments where goldfish learn to push levers for food or respond to colored lights, and weeks later, they still remembered. Imagine if you could only remember your Wi-Fi password for 3 seconds. The internet would collapse, society would crumble, yet a fish the size of a Twinkie can retain information longer than most people at an open bar. So next time someone repeats the goldfish myth, feel free to correct them with scientific authority and maybe a dash of smugness. And if your goldfish stares at you from its bowl, just know it probably remembers that time you forgot to feed it. Congratulations, you have a tiny, silent judge in your living room. Basically, goldfish are out here disproving human gossip one bubble at a time. Number 2. The Great Wall from space. Here's a fun travel fact people love to drop at parties. The Great Wall of China is the only man-made structure visible from space. And every astronaut ever just collectively rolled their eyes. Because no, it isn't. In fact, from space, the Great Wall blends in with the natural landscape so much that you'd have an easier time spotting a Walmart parking lot. The myth probably started as propaganda, a way of bragging about how colossal the Wall Island, and yes, it is massive, stretching thousands of miles, but that doesn't mean it glows like a neon sign once you leave the atmosphere. Astronauts have confirmed over and over again that the wall is nearly impossible to see without special equipment. Meanwhile, brightly lit highways, airports, and giant cities are crystal clear. Imagine building the world's longest fortification just for some guy with a telescope in orbit to say, "Sorry bro, I can't see it." Oh. So if you ever go on a trivia show and they ask which human-made structure is visible from space, don't say the Great Wall. Say Las Vegas at night. Because apparently, human civilization's most visible achievement is blinding neon and a giant fake Eiffel Tower. Honestly, that feels about right. Number 3. Einstein failed math. Ah yes, the classic motivational poster myth. Even Einstein failed math, so don't worry about your grades. Lovely sentiment, but once again, totally wrong. Einstein was actually great at math from a young age. By the time he was a teenager, he was already tackling calculus. Meanwhile, most of us were just trying to figure out why the Pythagorean theorem mattered when we couldn't even balance a checkbook. The rumor started because of a translation error. Einstein once had mediocre grades in a school system that used numbers where 6 was the highest mark and 1 was the lowest. Someone mistranslated it, and suddenly people thought he flunked math. Spoiler, he didn't. In fact, math was his jam. Physics doesn't exactly let you wing it with vibes. So when people say Einstein failed math, what they really mean is, we like to lie to ourselves so we feel better about failing math. Einstein didn't struggle with equations. He struggled with authority figures who didn't vibe with his unconventional brain, which, to be fair, is a much cooler problem to have. Basically, the dude wasn't bad at math. We were just bad at translating. Number 4. 5 senses only. You've been told your whole life that humans have 5 senses: sight, hearing, taste, touch, and smell. It's clean, it's simple, and it looks good on a kindergarten poster. But it's also nonsense. Science says you actually have way more senses than that depending on how you count, anywhere from 9 to over 20. For example, you've got proprioception, which is your ability to know where your body parts are without looking. That's how you can touch your nose with your eyes closed, without accidentally poking yourself in the eye. There's equilibrioception, your sense of balance, which prevents you from tipping over like a malfunctioning shopping cart. Thermoception helps you feel temperature changes, like when you instantly regret touching a hot pan. And then there's nociception, the sense of pain, which is basically your body's way of screaming, "Hey genius, stop doing that." So why do we stick with 5? Probably because it's easy to remember and Aristotle said it a couple thousand years ago, and everyone just kind of nodded and went with it. Meanwhile, modern science is like, yeah, you're a walking Swiss Army knife of perception. The truth is, you're not limited to 5 senses, you're practically a sensory buffet. Though good luck fitting equilibrioception on a preschool worksheet. Number 5. Vikings and horned helmets. When you picture a Viking, chances are you imagine a burly warrior in a horned helmet, like a medieval ram cosplayer. But here's the thing. No Viking ever wore horns into battle. Archaeologists have found plenty of Viking helmets, and guess what? No horns. They were practical people, not auditioning for a heavy metal album cover. So where did this goofy image come from? Blame 19th century opera. Costume designers thought horns looked dramatic on stage, so they slapped them on Viking characters. It stuck. And now every Halloween store is cursed with plastic horned helmets forever. Real Vikings, meanwhile, wore simple iron helmets, or sometimes none at all. Imagine rowing a ship for hours only to fight in close combat while balancing giant cow horns on your head. You'd be your enemy's favorite piñata. The horned helmet myth is one of those weird things everyone just accepted because it looks cool in movies. But the reality is, the Vikings were terrifying enough without cosplay accessories. So the next time you see someone wearing one of those novelty helmets, just remember, they're not historically accurate. They're just auditioning for a role in Viking karaoke night. Number 6. Humans use 10% of their brain. This one is a personal favorite because it makes you feel both mysterious and incredibly lazy. You only use 10% of your brain. It's been said in movies, motivational speeches, and probably by that one uncle trying to sell you essential oils. But scientifically, it's garbage. Your brain is active almost all the time, even when you're sleeping. Sure, you're not firing every neuron simultaneously like some cosmic fireworks show, but different regions are constantly in use depending on what you're doing. MRI scans have shown that basically your entire brain gets used throughout the day. So no, you're not sitting on a 90% brain storage unit waiting to be unlocked like a video game cheat code. The myth survives because it's comforting. It makes people think, hey, maybe I'm secretly a genius who just hasn't tapped into my hidden potential. The truth is less magical. You're already using your whole brain, and that's why you still forget where you left your keys. If you really only use 10%, a sneeze would probably kill you. So yeah, next time someone drops that line, remind them their brain is already busy, mostly making them believe lies about their brain. Number 7. Sugar makes kids hyper. If you've ever been around children at a birthday party, you might swear on your life that cake frosting turns them into caffeinated raccoons. Parents blame sugar for the chaos. But here's the kicker. Sugar doesn't actually cause hyperactivity. Multiple studies have tested it, and the results are consistent. There's no significant link between sugar consumption and kids bouncing off the walls. So what's going on? Well, kids are already excitable gremlins at parties. They're surrounded by balloons, games, noise, and other small humans running in circles like it's the end of civilization. Sugar just happens to be present during these chaos festivals, so parents draw the easy conclusion. It's like blaming a traffic jam on the color red correlation, not causation. There's also a psychological twist. If you expect sugar to make your kid hyper, you'll notice every wiggle and shout as proof. That's called the expectancy effect, or in less fancy terms, placebo parenting. So yeah, sugar may rot your teeth, mess with your metabolism, and fuel the entire snack industry. But it's not turning your child into the Flash. The real culprit is probably the bouncy castle. Number 8. Chameleons change color to hide. Chameleons have built a reputation as the world's ultimate hide-and-seek champions, supposedly changing colors to blend perfectly into their surroundings. Except that's not actually their main trick. In reality, chameleons change color mostly to regulate temperature and to communicate like reptile mood rings. If they're cold, they might turn darker to soak up heat. If they're feeling aggressive, they flash brighter colors to show dominance. And during mating season, they're basically walking billboards saying, "Pick me, I'm fabulous." Sure, they can blend in with leaves a bit, but they're not out here vanishing like lizards with Harry Potter cloaks. The myth sticks around because it's way more fun to imagine a chameleon as a tiny animal ninja instead of, a cranky sunbather with mood lighting. Scientists discovered the truth by studying special cells in their skin called chromatophores, which reflect light in different ways. Basically, they're less about camouflage and more about throwing an emotional disco on their own bodies. So, next time someone says chameleons are masters of disguise, just remember, they're actually just really dramatic about their feelings.